as more and more people are joining from all around the country and the world. So welcome to this edition. My name is Timothy. I'm the managing director here at Colosseum Sport, and we're very happy and honored to have you with us today. Before we jump right into today's topic conversation around youth soccer and technology for youth soccer, just wanted to share an important news. The Sports Tech Nation Summit that we'll be hosting next December, since a lot of the attendees here are passionate about sports and also about innovation technology. I think this is an exciting event. So book the date, 7th to 9th of December, and find more information on sportstechnation.com. And before I join, I welcome Kevin to Align, and it's an honor to have you with us, Kevin. Thank you so much. Before I introduce you and we'll jump into the conversation, I just wanted to share some introductory remarks for the next 2-3 minutes about this topic of technology for youth soccer and their application opportunities. Obviously, technology integration has been and is an integral part of soccer's development. And I think when we look at FIFA's vision, the governing body globally for football or soccer, to make football truly global, and we look more deeper at the 11 priorities for FIFA in the next 3 years until 2023. If you look at point number 9, harness technology in football. So we can say that really at the governing level, at the global level, technology, there is a global understanding that technology and innovation will be important for the future development of football. And it's true that when you look at the recent technological advancements that have been taking place over the last few years or decades, it's pretty impressive. And this has led to the constitution of a booming sports technology environment. Just to name a few, if you look at the development in terms of virtual reality, augmented reality, the development of 5G, which bring complete revolution in terms of the networks and the technology capabilities, the artificial intelligence also topic, and also the smart stadium that creates smart experiences, sustainable experiences, connected experiences, and esports as well, which has been rising over the last few years, and even some core technologies that are tapping into the sports industry, like brain technology, for example. And so all of that gives place to an environment where we have a lot of solutions that are coming to the market to all sports, and specifically soccer, and we're trying to make sense of it. And in the soccer world specifically, impressive innovations have emerged lately. Obviously, the most remarkable example was the implementation in the World Cup 2018 of the video assisting referee, which was not a pure innovative technology in such, but was an innovation for FIFA to decide to implement it at the global level. If you look at other examples of recovery technologies that are now used in professional teams, or even wearable and tracking technology, here you have an example of the progress that artificial intelligence has allowed in terms of tracking players and movements of the balls for further player development, but also wearable technologies that are now being used for professional teams and widely over the last few years. And that might be the problem is that those innovations, those technologies seem so far a little bit reserved to the professional levels. And so the question is, why? Well, first, because those technology can represent a certain cost, and so for youth soccer clubs and academies to be able to afford fancy wearable technology, there's a gap here that needs to be bridged. The second reason is the lack of awareness. What are the solutions out there? What are the applications? What are the opportunities? What can we do with them to further player development, the soccer environment, and in general? And the last one is, as technical staff, coaches, technical directors, not everyone is a data analyst or a complex video analyst. So the lack of skills also explain why maybe those innovations haven't yet spread into the wide youth soccer world. And so looking at this curve of adoption and innovation, we believe that we are kind of this momentum where we see a lot of adoption at the professional levels, but yet for the majority in the mass market to benefit from those developments, there is a gap that needs to be enhanced. So what about the youth soccer world? This is the topic of today's conversation, and you know, beyond the current times that I've seen faster technology adoption by coaches trying to adapt to the difficult times we live in. Obviously, we all witnessed those examples of remote coaching and training through Zoom, like we're speaking today. But beyond that momentum, the real question is which strategy around technology integration within the youth soccer environment, which solutions are out there, and what are the opportunities that this could bring. So I guess this is a really passionate topic, and I'm very happy to be joined today by an incredible lineup of speakers to share with you their insights on this topic and also present you with some solutions for youth soccer. So first and foremost, I'd like to give a warm welcome to Kevin Payne. Kevin is a legend of US soccer, obviously, decades of experience at the US soccer level, building and also founding the most successful American soccer team in history with DC United, and today leading US club soccer and making an incredible impact on the player development and club development across the country. So welcome, Kevin. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's really an honor, and I think for all the attendees and also the people that couldn't make it today and that will be rewatching this, I think it's amazing that you're here. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Tim. It's a pleasure to be here. It's an honor for me. I will say there's a good chance that of all the people you'll be talking to today, I am probably the least technology oriented. Among other things, I'm quite old, so I did not grow up with technology quite the same way as people that are younger than me have.
For sure, but I'm sure you have great insights that can be shared. And actually, the first question I got for you, Kevin, is you bring decades of experience in the soccer world at the club level, at different levels, and today with the association perspective. What are the main developments that you've been witnessing in terms of technology? What innovation really have been making the most impact on the game from all those years that you've been at the center of it?
Well, I think that it's important to make a little bit of a distinction between those technology applications that are directed at the technical side of the game, either understanding what's happening or developing players, and those applications which are focused more on the administration and the business side of the game. So youth soccer has been, in some ways, at least in this country, probably ahead of professional soccer in its adoption of certain applications that allow it to conduct its business more easily. Right. Registration technology, for instance, which has been around as an automated function for, probably 15 years, maybe even a little bit more than that. Right. So before clubs began to really use technology, professional clubs, to manage or track ticket sales, for instance, youth clubs were already using technology to register their players. Now, those technologies are rapidly improving. And we are seeing consolidation, to scale matters when it comes to innovation. The better applications are beginning to win, and right. The applications that have flaws are not. But we are also now seeing a lot of adoption of just a wide variety of applications on the youth side that relate more directly to the game itself and how to improve the outcomes either for the team or for the individual player.
Right. Now that's very interesting. And actually looking at what US club soccer today is doing, I know you have this program, Players First, that's trying to promote a kind of innovative solution, actually, interesting solutions for the players' environment, for the coaches' environment. What are the main trends that you see here, and how do you look at those solutions in terms of bringing them to the coaches and having them also adopt the solution in the most efficient way and the less disruptive way to their environment? Because we know there is also sort of a reluctance sometimes to bring solutions on board with technical staff?
I'll say first of all that this players first. What we're trying to do is very ambitious, and it would be absolutely impossible without technology. There's no way that we could influence. We have somewhere around 3,500 clubs in our membership.
Right.
There's no way that we could influence all of those if it was a more manual process or a hands-on process. So it's only through the efficiency of deployable technology that we're able to even have this ambition. We try to provide support to clubs in order to create a better environment for players and parents, and ultimately the clubs themselves in the youth soccer experience. And we base the resources that we provide in 5 areas: club development, coaching development, player development, parent education and engagement, and player health and safety. So we have partnerships with technology providers in all of those areas.
Okay. And what has been the reaction dealing with clubs and the staff in terms of having them on board? Obviously, you can impose the solutions, you're trying to promote them and mix. And what's the reaction and what's the progress that you see? What's the kind of return on investment, so to speak, of those technology solutions when it comes to players' performance, the club's performance at all levels?
I think the analysis of that is being refined. You mentioned at the outset that professional clubs have adopted more performance-related technology than, say, youth clubs. But even within professional clubs, the EPL, clubs in the EPL or clubs in La Liga with more resources, they're doing a better job because they have more people who are able to spend the time analyzing the data that they collect.
Right.
The data itself, it really doesn't have any abstract value. It's a matter of how you interpret it. So the same thing holds true in youth soccer, I think. There's a lot of clubs now that are actually acquiring some of the tracking data, some of the biometric data. They don't necessarily have the resources to make use of it, but they know they have to have it. So I think what we'll begin to see is more focus and particularly bigger and more ambitious youth clubs to add resources, human resources, on the analysis side.
Yeah. And how do you see this work down the road happening? Because obviously it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of energy, takes some money too. I know you've got some great partnerships with also global leagues and La Liga as a kind of a main partner around this coaching education side. Does that involve also spreading the word about new ways to look at technology solution to integrate in the environment in order to boost performance again and players development pathway?
Yeah, well, first of all, the manner in which we are influencing the behavior of our clubs through our La Liga relationship, that is also being influenced by technology. Right. So that was previously largely a face-to-face endeavor. Coronavirus is forcing all of us to find new ways of doing things. So we're about to launch a whole series, which will be ongoing with La Liga. And it's actually, in some ways, it's allowing us to scale a lot more efficiently and allowing them to scale a lot more efficiently. In the past, they would send a team of people over here who would physically meet with, candidates who were interested in hearing what they had to say. Now we'll have more of that accessible online, and they will be able to access resources from the various La Liga clubs because they don't have to come to the United States. They can do it in their own facility, and then it'll be online. So whether it's the coursework, which is a more comprehensive approach to teach our coaches how to develop a methodology, or it's specific subject-related master classes, we will actually see a far greater number of American coaches being exposed to the way in which La Liga does things, and hopefully they'll draw applicable conclusions from that.
Well, that's amazing. I think this is really, really great insights. Kevin, obviously, we have other speakers that'd like to share their insights. So I'd like to ask you to stay on the line with us as we're going to continue on a panel conversation in about 20 minutes or so. So we'll be very happy to have you join this discussion. But I think what's next will actually also catch your attention, because we have Shmulik with us, Shmulik Barel from Playform. Playform that's actually build a great technology for self-measurement based on computer vision and artificial intelligence technology. So I will leave the floor and welcome Shmulik on the line. But thank you again, Kevin, for taking this time, and stay with us because I think with Juan and Shmulik and Antonio, we'll have a great conversation towards the end of the event.
I surely will.
Thanks so much. So I'd like to welcome. Shmulik. Shmulik, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here, Tim.
Perfect. So welcome, and welcome to the virtual floor, I must say. And I think after Kevin's words, that was a perfect lead to what I think you'd like to show the audience today. So Playform. I mean, we've heard the name now here and there, but tell us a little bit more about the way you look at a self-measurement for youth soccer players and bringing elite level technology that we spoke about to the hands of youth players and really getting this access to the mass market.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Tim. Hi, everyone. I'm very happy to be here and to be able to share with you a little bit about Playform. So with your permission, I will just share a deck. We'll present with you.
Sure, you're already co-host.
Do you see my screen?
We see your screen.
Great. So yes, actually, Kevin, previous words were a perfect lead for what we are doing. So we are Playform, and we have founded 2 years ago with the vision to empower the latest and greatest technology to youth soccer players, to allow them to measure themselves and to improve their skills in real time as youth soccer players. So actually, when we're looking about data, and data is everything today, and when we're looking on players analytics adoption, so there is a big problem. Youth players and amateur players don't have any access to player analytics. When you look on numbers, so less than 3% of soccer players have access to any kind of analytics technology, because the existing technology requires hardware, and they're actually making it not accessible to the mass market. So whether it's professional cameras, in-shoe sensors, any kind of wearable, this is great for the professional teams, for the professional players, but not for the amateur or for the youth soccer players. And we wanted to take out these barriers. And this is what Playform actually does. We want to take these 97% youth players that don't have any access to be able to measure themselves and any kind of access to analytics, and to bring them a new technology and to put it in their fingertips. So the most obvious tool is our mobile device, which everyone has today. And we've taken a mission to transfer the mobile device into a real-time measurement and development platform for youth soccer players that will allow them to measure their skills with their mobile phones with no other equipment. Our application is a cross-platform app, so we are working both on iOS and on Android, and we support every kind of common platform out there today. For the last 2 years, we've developed our deep technology. We are an experts of computer vision and algorithms engineers, and we are great fans of soccer and sports, and soccer particularly. And we've come from the world of technology, and we have come from the world of mobile, and we've built a deep technology which resides on the mobile device itself, which is a computer vision engine, which analyze all the ball and athletes' movements by capturing videos using the mobile phone cameras only, capturing movements, very gentle movements for 50 and 60 meters over the field, and being able to get out of these movements dozens numbers of insights about the player performance. And on top of that, we have built a deep learning engine, which actually allows us to take all this data, and Kevin told that that there is a lot of data, but no one knows what to do with that. So we are not sharing this raw data with the players or even with the coaches. We are sharing with them recommendations of how they can improve and optimize their development processes. We are supporting a various list of drills, and we're adding more and more drills to the application. We are now collecting dozens of insights on each and every drill that the player is doing. And on top of the specific and one-time measurement or specific drills measurement, we also have a full package of analyzing the player physical skills, technical skills, tactical skills, field skills. So as the app is continues to grow and we enhance our technology, we add more and more skills and capabilities to analyze the player performance. In terms of how we share it, so the technology is very complex, but the user interface should be very easy to use because eventually these are youth players. They want to get the experience they're familiar with, their gaming and esports and all the things they are familiar on their mobile device. So it's a very easy process. The player just have to pick up his phone, open his camera through the application, execute a set of drills, and then all the data, all the analysis is being presented to him immediately on his mobile phone. We support player assessments. Based on that, the system recommend what is their preferred workout strategy for the player and how he can work to optimize his performance on specific drills or his overall performance. And of course, there is a big side of social competitions, fun engagement through the application, because we know that youth soccer players, they don't want only to train today in the ordinary workout sessions, but they also want to compete. So everything is objective data. They're taking competitions and measurements, and they can share it with a friend. They can challenge their friend and do a lot of social activities in the application. We have launched recently. As I've said, we've completed 2 years of technology development. Launched 3 months ago in Israel when we collected thousands of players using the application. On August, we've released also our iOS version. And last month, we have launched in the US. We already have thousands of players using the application with great feedback and actually great insights that we get on top of the from our players all over the world. We are now penetrating into the US and actually looking for partnerships opportunity to work with partners to give this unique opportunity to give the next generation of soccer players measurement and actually bring a solution that will work on the mass market, on the youth soccer's markets, which are like very eager to get this kind of technology and put it in their hands. So together with us, we are looking for partners to embrace the technology and share it forward.
All right.
That's it. I think this was my 7 minutes.
Thank you so much, Shmulik. I think this is really insightful and actually also makes a lot of sense in those days. You know, when Kevin mentioned at the beginning, obviously all coaches, all clubs have been trying to adapt to remote training tactics and others, and it's true that the objective data that your technology can bring makes it even more interesting. So thank you for your time and stay with us again. I'd like to welcome I think one of the best technical experts here on the line from Austin FC today, Juan, the Academy Technical Director at Austin FC. Juan, just to say a few words about Juan, has been involved in the soccer world for the last 15 years. Was behind some of the world most renowned players like Jordi Alba and others at Villarreal and Valencia. So Juan, welcome to the floor.
Thank you for the introduction, and I have some challenges to log in, so that's the beauty of technology. So adrenaline is always present as well.
Exactly. I think you're making the point that we talk about technology, but even the most basic sometimes betrays us. So, but anyways, I think the most important that you're now here with us. So thank you so much for taking the time. We know you're very busy building the academy and leading the academy with Austin FC. Maybe a question for you, Juan. Obviously, you've been involved with elite teams at the academy level. What have been the most technological breakthrough that you've seen, and what have you made use of in the last couple of years that really boosted athlete performance and players development in your perspective?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. And first of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity to learn and to be among these experts. No, I expect to be at the same, to be at the right expectations at least. So yeah, I mean, looking backwards, I think to understand where we're going, we need to analyze what has happened in the last 10 years. And of course, the current situation with coronavirus is going to change the entire paradigm. So the way we function as a society and as a consequence is going to be a huge impact on how we function in my case, as a technician or as a coach. So when thinking about technology, it's obvious that, for instance, the GPS, I remember, the first time I have a device in my hand was 2007 when I moved to Qatar and went to Aspire Academy, and maybe 10% of the professional soccer teams in Europe were using it at the time. Whether now, I don't have the exact figures, but it might be the 100% of, in Europe at least, and worldwide must be between 70 to 80%. So this has been a breakthrough and a trend. And now I think for me, and again, from my humble perspective and experience, I think all the video-based technology is going to be the next evolution. We have all these automatized cameras that are providing solutions where you don't need a cameraman anymore, and
actually, I think it's up next on our speaker. Antonio from Sinfo will talk about that. So
yeah. So I thank you. Yeah, I think Antonio will have much more insights than me. But again, I foresee the near future being an integration of technologies where you can potentially have let's say the tracking data that a GPS device is providing right now, integrated with the video. And again, I think the challenge, and I'm talking now from a performance perspective, is how to optimize the time, because you have all these services available, but at the end you still have 24 hours a day, and I believe the goal of having all this data is to make better decisions, and in order to do so, you need to have time to analyze this data and to make sure that you identify the keys, and you have, in my case, an application or an intervention with the players. No, so the challenge is going to be how we integrate solutions, how we make sure we develop the right KPIs, and how we serve the art of coaching. Because we're talking about the science, the technology. The next challenge is, okay, we have all this empirical knowledge, we have all this experienced coaches, human brain is the most powerful technology. We sometimes forget about that. So how can we make the link between all these logarithms, all these new devices and hardwares and softwares with the empirical knowledge that 20 years, 30 years, 40 years experience coach has? So.
Sure. No, that will be for sure the main challenge, and I think it goes back to Kevin's point on the data and using that data, because obviously you can collect a lot of insights, a lot of analytics, and specifically maybe at the youth level, since you're dealing with the academy with those youth teams. What do you see like as the most critical data to not only collect but also analyze, and what ways can you find to analyze that data and make it as insightful as possible for the coaches in terms of decision making on the field?
Yeah, as I said, I'm in this case, yes, we collect data from the physical perspective. We know all the drills, the impact it has, the load, and so on and so forth. It helps long term to have a proper planning, a proper periodization. But to me, is how can I use all this technology in the art of coaching? And again, video feedback is crucial when done properly. Following on my colleague, giving the ownership to the players is going to be the next challenge as well, because we live in a society with they interact with people with their phones. So how can we make it user-friendly for a 15, 16, 18, 20-year-old? How can we create this culture of themselves reviewing this data, themselves analyzing the games, and then having these individual talks with the coach with the previous knowledge? So how can we develop the habit and of the end user, in this case, the player, being able to log in, use the technology, understand the benefits? So this requires an education and a change of paradigm, as I said, and I'm glad that Kevin was talking about education, because to me is the crucial thing. We need to educate coaches, administrators, parents, and ultimately the players, on how this technology can benefit their performance, but also how can they improve building their own character and their own values, which is, again, a challenge that we're going to face.
For sure. No, education is a very critical point. And I think this, this kind of talks participate to that. And I know you've been also writing a book on tactical periodization. So this kind of work also helps I think all coaches and clubs understand the opportunities better. Juan, I think you mentioned the automatic production and the smart cameras and the importance of video. So I think it's a good transition to go and welcome Antonio, but stay with us because we'll have this time we will converse together right after Antonio's talk. So thank you so much, and Antonio, welcome to the floor. And Juan mentioned obviously automatic production, the lack of now the need for camera operators is disappearing, it seems, and I think it represents opportunities for the youth soccer world in the US and elsewhere to have a foldable technology that will be able to provide those video insights to coaches and technical staff. So Antonio, thank you for joining us, and I'll be leaving the floor to you for the next 5-7 minutes before we jump onto our conversation.
Hello, team. Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be here. We are a Sinfo European company. Our automated production platform is called TV. We are working with many telco operators in Europe, also with La Liga. They have selected us as winners of their innovation championship. Telcos are very interested in our system because the 5G and the fiber demand it creates, and sport entities are interested because there are many interested in going OTT by their own means and having their own business model and stop selling rights to wholesalers. But there is something in the conversation that resonated, and I created a slide just when I was hearing all of you, because it's I want to emphasize that we use off-the-shelf hardware. We are not a closed system that when you purchase it, well, it takes pictures or video at your venue and delivers something, but all the value is hidden from you. We use standard hardware from the market. We install the hardware at the venue. And of course, we create a product, which is the automated streaming emission, either for DTT, for cable TV, for mobile TV, for OTT, or for virtual reality live. We perform a finished production. But we also, with the same set of cameras, we can deliver a smart coaching tool. In this case, we don't use artificial intelligence. We just let coaches to see everything that is happening at the venue in multi-camera synchronized mode, and they can tag and select what they want to discuss later with teams. But we also deliver sport entities all that footage, so they can connect all those video files with third-party artificial intelligence providers and to get more value from the video we are recording from the production. So we don't provide a closed system. We create a closed system for the sport entity, and they can use those same recordings we are getting from each camera, from each side, and we can add as many cameras as you want. If there is a new artificial intelligence startup or technology that wants to use also our system and they require a specific view, we can add to the system. So you can have a one-stop shop of video recordings for feeding to third parties and to create more value for you. We don't deploy servers at the venue. We are completely serverless. Everything is in the cloud. And just a minute to explain you why we are unique if you compare a solution with competitors. First of all, we start with a cloud production board completely in the cloud. It can connect to any type of camera, to mobiles, to broadcast camera, to RTNP, to SRT cameras, to any type of camera. But if you install specific models from the market, that we have standardized more than 40 models in our system, we are able to synchronize them. We are able to run artificial intelligence in real time against the cameras. With the output of the artificial intelligence, we go back to your venue and we move those cameras. We do pan, tilt, with side views. We send to each camera between 30 and 40 instructions per second. And the same detections we are getting in real time from the artificial intelligence, we send them to the mixer, so it might change camera by their own. But we allow for hybrid production, so you can mix a human operating the system and the artificial intelligence in hot mode. So you can say, okay, for this match, I want to be the producer. So you get into the system, you tell them, I want to overimpose my will to the artificial intelligence, and you can also operate it, combine it with artificial intelligence, and you can let some cameras go on artificial intelligence and other cameras, or just the cloud production, you can balance by yourself.
Yeah, I think that adds to Juan's point. You know, every time you need the human eye, you need the human touch as well. You know,
yes. In many cases, well, our system works really well in indoor, but in soccer, which is a very quick sport, and there are many situations you can be there to control everything and operate by yourself. For our system to work, we need more or less 120 milliseconds between a system or the cameras. That's why we only work with either fiber or 5G, and that's why so many telcos operators are interested in our technology. But if you don't have so much bandwidth, we can provide you a local server. For instance, in this case, you have on the left-hand side a DSL connection with 3 HD cameras. We are able to do the production. You see the metrics for that field. In the right-hand side, you have a match we produced last Sunday with Telefónica and club here in Spain, Deportivo La Coruña, with 8 4K cameras. 6 cameras were managed by artificial intelligence, and 2 specific cameras, beauty and zoom to the coach, were managed by humans, and there was a person doing the cloud production. So you can combine them for having in the same venue. This is a very important match. I want somebody to oversee it, or this one, it will go automatic because I wanted just cheap production. And this is what I want to share with you. And feel free to make any question in the chat, and happy to share answers with you.
Well, thank you so much, Antonio. I think this is really interesting, and also goes back to you know, making it accessible to all levels. And I think the picture you showed, you know, on if you have high production capability, then obviously the quality is better. But if you don't, then the solution can work too. And I think this is really important, especially at the youth level. So I'll be happy to welcome back Juan, Antonio, Shmulik, and Kevin to the virtual floor, and to just maybe a question for you, Kevin. looking and hearing those entrepreneurs and those technologies making a difference in terms of building the solutions of the future. What's your take when you see the game? Juan mentioned the video analysis and the connection to wearable devices as maybe the main the most important breakthrough in the coming years. What's your take on that from looking at the evolution that you've seen and also hearing from the coaches and the clubs the needs that they have today?
Yeah, I think that the appetite for these sort of solutions right now is voracious. As I said, in many cases, the limiting constraint is really what can the clubs effectively do with the data that they collect. We have a couple of different partners in our environment that are answering some of these kinds of questions, but there's multiple ways of delivering different aspects of the data that clubs need. So there's motion capture. We have a relationship with a club called Beyond Pulse, an organization called Beyond Pulse, for instance, which tracks biometric data and provides that in real time. We also have a relationship with an organization I suspect that Shmulik probably knows called Player Maker, which is producing data collection through a wearable device on the shoe, and it tracks a number of different metrics, and soon we'll be introducing a much broader application product for people, to use in their normal life that track gait patterns and so forth and help prevent injuries. So really the sky's the limit on these things. There's far more technological innovation available right now, actually, than people can even deploy.
For sure. I think, and maybe Shmulik, since Kevin mentioned you, Shmulik, if we take the player's perspective, because obviously we're sitting from different perspectives there, the clubs, the coaches, the players. From a player perspective, the ability to get feedback, whatever your level is, I believe is critical, and to give that ability worldwide, because when we talk about wearables, and I think the example you mentioned, Kevin, also is very interesting, but it still represents kind of a high cost for a player on the street that like to, or dreaming about the next being the next Messi or Ronaldo. So maybe Shmulik, what was the reasoning behind Playform in terms of thinking from the players, maybe?
Yeah, so as I've mentioned, actually, so when you're looking on the market, so the vast majority of the players don't have an access for this kind of analytics solutions, because they are based on hardware that cost pretty much a lot for even the average youth player, which not necessarily can afford himself to buy this kind of hardware. And when you're bringing this technology and put it in their hands, so the feedback is amazing. So we get amazing feedback, very emotional feedbacks from players around the world, which say, wow, for the first time I can really see how I'm doing, how I'm compared to others. Someone was watching me and was telling me that I may be like that or like otherwise, but here I have a technology that really compare me to others, that allows me to see what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, where I should improve if I would like to be a better player. And it's very, very accessible and easy to use. So it's make like every youth player become the analyst of himself and has the ability to take this data and really understand what he should be doing with that. And it makes like it's a whole new, I think, a whole new game for these players.
For sure. And one of the discussions, and I know we've been having the discussion too, and Kevin mentioned those sides as well, the tactical element component to players' measurement and performance improvements is critical. And I know you're kind of one of the world-renowned experts on this topic. How do you see the assessment of that side of a player? The brain, the decision-making process, the understanding of the game. How do you see that going along, and technology playing a role in that? I think you're on mute, Juan. Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you for the question. I think it's a very interesting one. And is that one of the big challenge technology is gonna face basically is this one, you know, because at the end there is the sport of soccer is one of the most complex systems when thinking about the different sports. And how do you manage this amount of information from a decision-making perspective? How can we control or load or somehow identify what is the right decision in a given moment? Is a very complex equation. In this case, measuring tactical load is going to be one of the challenges, as I said, and it all depends not only on players' ability, but also the interaction. I mean, you are as good as your opponent lets you be, you know? You are as good as your direct opponent, your teammates, the opposition team. So there is a multifactorial situation where it's very difficult to identify. I think with the use, as I said, you know, now there is artificial intelligence provide an opportunity, but the algorithm behind has to be well structured. And that's why, coming back to my point, is how can we link empirical knowledge from experts on the field to build the right algorithm. So you can identify, for instance, that breaking lines, you know, through passes are crucial. Or how can you, as I said, you know, identify the metrics that really matters in a given situation. So, and always taking into account the context, the environment, the score, for instance, is a massive one. So how players react when they are behind the score. So it is a big room and a big opportunity. I think we're still at the very early stages.
Yeah.
And again, I think the challenge for tech companies is, okay, how can you build the right human capital? So you have the engineers, you have the innovation, but you also have the right coaches that can guide and can collaborate with these experts to build the right solution.
Exactly. No, that's a very good point. And I'll come back to that also with Kevin on the environment, because I think the ecosystem, building an ecosystem also that brings awareness is critical to. And I think this is also what you're doing with Austin FC and the facility that you're creating there. So, but maybe on the tactical side and as you say, breaking the lines, I think video can help. Antonio, from your use cases, working with telecom providers, also working with clubs, where do you see this connection between the video and the tactical analysis, the game analysis part that you're connecting through your system, and how do they use it, and what are the kind of feedback or improvements they get from it?
Well, generally speaking, video, not only in sports, is replacing sensors everywhere. So even inside factories, many things, many sensors, difficult to connect, difficult to maintain, are being replaced by video, because video can serve for many purposes. If I were a sport owner or an academy director, I would like to have everything recorded, but in an open way, so I can run many different algorithms against any camera view, any source, any recording. And I think the future is to gather many different recordings, as much video as you can, and then look for supporting the technology in the industry, partner with many different elements, and running different algorithms against those videos. And this is the way to monetize it too, because many startups or even big companies, they want your videos. Once you have them recorded, they are very useful for them to train their systems. So having that library of your players, of your matches, is an asset in itself. So we really believe that good video recording is something that you have to start doing, even if you don't have a purpose today for it.
No, for sure, it's a very important aspect. Kevin, I'd like to go back with you on creating an ecosystem that can foster bring their awareness around those technologies and their applications and the way to implement them into, you're talking to a lot of clubs, you're talking to a lot of coaches on a day-to-day basis, and how hard it is, especially for the ones that are not forcibly elite levels, to kind of get their hands around what's happening. And you said there is a pool of solutions that is beyond what we can even think of in applications. So how do you prioritize? How do you kind of get your thoughts together around what's needed for me today, and I can execute it from a club or a coach perspective?
Yeah, I think that you used a good word. I think that clubs do need to prioritize. They have to try to determine not only what technology intrigues them and what might provide answers, but what can they manage. I do think the technologies that the individual can derive feedback from are really interesting. So, Shmulik's company, the company I mentioned earlier that we're partnering with, Player Maker, we also have a partnership with a group called Tapia, which it basically creates a venue online for kids to share videos of their soccer training. They try to emulate skills, and the idea is to gamify the process. And the biggest problem we have with that is the company tries to curate the kids' actions with actually human feedback. But the scale of it is out of control. We did a test with them this year with 4 clubs for 2 weeks where they were submitting videos, and they got 2,000 videos. So I think that ways to provide feedback, usable feedback to players directly are good. And I think ways to combine both physical feedback, biometric feedback, and tactical or technical feedback, and combine that in some fashion, that's the challenge for clubs and for technical directors of clubs, because most of our environment are not professional clubs. We're not talking about Real Madrid.
Exactly.
They're not without resources, but they don't have those kinds of resources. So giving them information that's usable is in a usable, digestible format is really important.
For sure. And I'll move. I think the transition is Shmulik. Kevin mentioned gamification as very important, and also the ability to scale the solutions. And I think this is really where technology can help. And I know you have a team of experts in artificial intelligence and that can process, build the technology that can process those videos and automate them as well. But on the gamification side, it's also very important to build an environment where kids can engage, because I mean, Kevin, we see, and the question will go for Shmulik, but Kevin, we see a lot of kids on Twitch, on esports, and this is rising, and so they're more at home than on the field, and so we'd like to create also bridges between those two worlds where actually as a kid you can feel as engaged into soccer by practicing the sports we all love. So Shmulik, what's the vision of Playform and the team on those two topics, automation and gamification?
Yeah, so scaling is a real challenge, and this is where automation and technologies come into play. So really, the ability to analyze these videos, these drills in real time, in high scale, it's a very complex task. But once you have the technology in place, then it takes out all the human operational stuff out of it. And the technology is technology, so you could just scale it up and down in the cloud as much as you can, and on the mobile device when it's on the client itself. So it's actually the challenge of building the technology that will allow to treat each and every player on its own, fully automatic, and this is like what we are doing and focusing on. Regarding the gamification, so yes, eventually these are youth players. They are in FIFA all days. They are like on the social networks, and we wanted to give them the experience very similar to FIFA. So when they are using our application, they see their player card like if there were players in FIFA. and later on, they will be able even to connect between these worlds. So they will be able to connect between the physical world and their performance on the physical fields and their performance on the digital and gaming stuff. Eventually, this is what actually drives the retention, the engagement, the excitement for the youth players. And this is why they come back again and again to the application. And it's very important to focus on that as well, and not only on the technology.
For sure. Thank you so much, Shmulik. And Juan, I'd like to ask you a question before then I'll ask a last question to everyone. I've read and we've seen at Austin FC, you're building really a very structured player development pathway. The franchise is going to go live next season. On the academy side, where do you see the ecosystem integration of technology, and what environment do you create for the staff and for the players alike to be aware of those innovations and to implement them, test them, try them, see the results, and then iterate as you go and pick the ones that bring the best results? Because I know you're building a training facility, kind of a very high level and tech oriented. So if you can share a little bit of the way you're structuring this.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we're learning, you know, we as a new baby born. So I think the most important is to have a clear philosophy of how you want to do things, creating the culture. So in this case, openness and, you know, growth mindset, able to learn, able to try new solutions, as you mentioned, is part of the culture we want to create. And then it's finding which solutions really add value to your purpose. And in this case, I don't know if I should mention some of the brands that we're using, but again, is basically automatized video is important for us. Then we use also animation tool to show the practice before the training. I mean, we share with the boys through a platform, communication platform, which is also very important. I realize in the US, the way you communicate to players and families and how it helps for operational purposes. So we use this as a pedagogical tool. So every boy receives the practice in an animated manner before coming to the field, so they know the goals. And then we ask them to explain. What we are actually trying to build is this culture where the boys know enough about what's going to happen that they are able to explain it to their teammates and identify the goals, link the practice to their own individual goals. So we measure and we capture all the training load. We're using 2 different systems this year, so we can see which one is more useful for us, are more functional. So every drill is measured, every training is taped with the automatized solution. And then again, we use video for video feedback. We use video editing, one of the tools that allows you to draw on the video and making it more appealing for players. And we use as I said, the animation tool, which is very useful as well for them to understand the principles of play, the practice, and basically providing this opportunity for them to learn and to have ownership on the process.
Amazing. And yeah, this open mindset is very important. You're building it from scratch, from the beginning. You know, I think this is also important to get that culture going on, as you mentioned. I'd like to ask. Yeah.
Now, finally, we're going to make a lot of mistakes. We just need to learn very fast and be humble and as I said, and compassionate to each other, so we can improve out of every mistake.
That's I think definitely the right mindset. I'll turn to Antonio and then to each of you to maybe just give in 30, 40 seconds your message to the youth soccer coaches and technical staff that are on the line and that will be rewatching this. What do you have to tell them in terms of where do we stand in technology and what's coming next and what they should do today? Antonio, I'll start with you and then move to Kevin, Shmulik, and Juan to close.
I think it's very important for everybody to understand that artificial intelligence is just starting. I'm doing artificial intelligence every day, and still we are progressing very quickly, and there is ocean to be done. And artificial intelligence to perform, it requires images mainly. So the most database you can create for you is what you are going to feed those algorithms. That is, and algorithms tomorrow will require the footage of yesterday. I think that's something interesting to get.
For sure, for sure. Thank you, Antonio. Kevin, what's your message to coaches across the country around this topic of technology integration in their environment?
Well, I think it's important that they're very focused on finding pragmatic solutions. They need to know what the questions are before they start buying the answers. And I think sometimes in today's world, people are so in love with data collection, they don't, it becomes an end in itself. And unless you're planning to somehow commoditize and monetize the data, which youth soccer clubs are not, there needs to be a purpose for it. So I think it's really important that clubs think about how are we going to use this information that we're gathering to improve the experience for our players, to help our players improve their performance, to help us better communicate with them. And because there literally are more solutions out there than clubs can use. And so I think it's really important. It is kind of a fire hose. And I think it's important that clubs understand that they can drown themselves pretty quickly and increase cost, dramatically to families, which is not something we need if they're not careful and discriminatory in the way, or discriminating in the way in which they approach this.
I think it's a powerful message. And Shmulik, maybe, thank you very much, Kevin. And I'd like to thank you for your time again for joining us today. It was incredibly valuable insights for our audience. So thank you again. Shmulik, a message to players and youth players across the country.
Yeah, so I believe that the technologies which are going to be in the fingertips of the players are like the next big move for supporting player development. I believe, again, that we are at the beginning of this journey, and we are going to see more and more like that, and get improved and be challenged to use all this data, to share this data with the players in a way that they can really process it and take the relevant insights out of it to support their player development. And it will take us some time probably to really nail it down and see what is the exact value that we need to bring to the players. But the most basic is for us to be able to collect this information, and on top of that, to be able to share it wisely with the players.
Thank you, Shmulik. Juan, you get the last word on this panel.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm very much in line with all of my colleagues, especially with Kevin, and to me, if I have to send a message out there is, whenever you have a technology question, or whenever you have a technology in your hands, try to see if this serves the purpose of improving the game, building character, because again, it's something we need to be mindful of, and develop values. So basically, it's how can technology serve the art of coaching, not only the science of coaching. So how can we use this to serve the players better in this case? And I think that would be a nice way to approach that decision.
It is a powerful message. Thank you very much. Thank you so much all for joining. And Kevin, Antonio, Juan, Shmulik, was an honor to have you all with us, sharing those insights. I think it's been a great conversation and a powerful message stand out there as well. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you for joining. And please, check out colosseumsport.com. We host a lot of those virtual talks and events around sports technology topics and applications. So feel free to join us. And again, we'll be seeing you very shortly. And I'd like to wish you all to stay safe in those challenging times, and obviously to keep doing great things for the game we all love. So appreciate your time, appreciate your insights, and see you very soon on our channels. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.